Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today I am back with part one of the Merlot Crystal Chaton bracelet that you can see here. This is one of the first designs that I'm sharing that comes from the Mountain Vineyard collection that I helped put together with Eureka Crystal Beads. And I will link that unboxing in the corner if you'd like to check out all of those contents up close. And I'll have a link right down below the video that will take you to that collection on Eureka's website if you'd like to pick one up while they're still available. And of course, inside you'll receive pretty much everything you need to make one of these bracelets, plus the other two projects that I'll be sharing in the coming weeks. Also down below, I will have the full list of materials that you'll need to make one of these bracelets, as well as links to those individual materials. And as reference, this bracelet is going to be about 7 to 7.5 inches long. So if you'd like to make one of these, you'll be creating 5 of these sparkly components that we will then put together in part 2 of the video that will be available tomorrow. So to get started, what you can do is trim off a segment of beading thread. I'll be using the 6-pound 0.006 inch diameter Fireline and a size 11 beading needle. I like to start with about a wingspan or so, but you can just trim off what's comfortable for you, thread your beading needle, and we will jump into this tutorial.
So first what you'll want to do is take one of your Chatons and sew through the left-hand hole that's with the crystal facing up, and pull your thread and leave yourself a 4 to 6 inch tail and hang on to that while you pick up 3 11/0 seed beads. Sew down through the open hole of the setting on the Chaton and pull that and hang on to your tail thread at the same time. Now pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads and sew up through the open hole on the other side of the Chaton setting. And hang on to the tail thread at the same time that you're pulling those beads through. Hang on to everything and pull it tight. Then sew through the next 3 11/0 seed beads, again holding that tail thread in place for now. And continue sewing down through that next hole of the Chaton setting. Just like that, and pull tight. At this point, you can make a little half-hitch knot by sewing underneath that thread bridge between the seed bead and the setting. Make a loop and sew through the loop. That'll secure those beads in place a little bit for now before you tie off your thread. And then sew through the next 3 11/0 seed beads. At this point, you'll want to pick up 7 more 11/0s. And then you can sew through the next 3 11/0 seed beads that are already in place. Pull that tight. And once again, pick up 7 new 11/0 seed beads and sew through the next seed bead that was already in place. And then pull tight so those seed beads start wrapping around that crystal setting. Now sew through the next 3 seed beads and pull tight. At this point, you can grab some of your 11/0 Delica beads, pick one of those up, and sew down through the next 5. We're going to repeat that again 3 more times, picking up a Delica, sewing through 5 seed beads, pull tight, do that again, You can see we're popping in a Delica at each corner, basically. So we have one more to go. Pick that up. Sew through the next 5 seed beads and through the next Delica. Once again, just pull that tight, and now you should see those Delicas, one in each corner, essentially. And the tail thread that's left over, I'm going to go ahead and put a needle on that and sew that into the beadwork to get it out of the way for the tutorial. You're welcome to do that now or do that later, but I'll get it out of the way and be right back. All right, let's pick up 6 11-ohs and then sew through the Delica that comes up next and repeat that 3 more times. 6 more seed beads and then through the next Delica. And one more time. And pull that tight. Next, sew through the following 6 11-oh seed beads that you just added. And once again, pull everything tight. Those seed beads are going to start to surround that crystal. And you can grab your MiniDuo beads. We're going to be putting one in each corner. So you can pick one up through either hole, then sew through the next 6 seed beads, pull tight, and repeat that again 3 more times. And we have one more to add. We'll go through those 6 seed beads again and pull. Now sew through the next MiniDuo, the same hole you went through before, and the next 6 seed beads. And continue sewing around all of those beads again at least one more time to really reinforce that section and to pull all those seed beads and MiniDuos together. As you sew through your final 6 seed beads again and then give that another good pull, you can flip that over so you can see a little bit better. And then return through that bottom group of seed beads, go through the first 3, and then pick up 5 of your 15 O's and sew through the Delica bead that comes up next. Pick up 5 more 15 O's and then sew through the third or the central seed bead in that next group of seed beads at the very bottom. And you'll repeat this all the way around. So once again, 5 15 O's and then sew through the next Delica and another 5 15 O's and sew through the central seed bead in that next group of 5. And once you've added all those in, you can then continue to sew through the next two 11 seed beads and just position your needle behind those seed beads and flip your piece over so that you can easily insert your needle into the MiniDuo into that lower hole. And then you can step up through the outer hole of that same MiniDuo. So you're coming out of it like this. Now grab your pinch beads and pick one up. Then sew through the central or third 11 in the group of 5 seed beads at the bottom and pull tight. Pick up another pinch bead and then sew through the outer hole of the next MiniDuo. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. So once again, pick up a pinch bead, sew through that third seed bead in the group of 5 at the bottom, pull tight, pick up another one, and then sew through the outer hole of the next MiniDuo. And again, it's really important here to pull all of these tight so that those pinch beads really hug each of the 4 corners. And that's what your piece should look like so far once you have all those pinch beads in place. And you can just continue sewing through the next pinch bead. You can grab your 2mm fire polish, sew through the next pinch bead, then pick up 3 15-0s and sew through the next pinch bead, and repeat this all the way around. So the third time, picking up a 2mm, sewing through the next pinch bead, picking up 3 15-0s, and sewing through the next pinch bead. And again, make sure you pull tight after each addition. So pick up those final 3 15-0s, and then you can sew through the pinch bead, 2mm, and pinch bead. Also continue sewing through the 15-0s and all around those new beads that you had just added, the pinch beads and the 2mm. You're just going to reinforce that entire section and tighten it up even more around the outside of the piece. And you can just use your fingers to press that in place even further. And as you can see, my working thread's getting a little short, so I'm going to tie this one off and add in a new one before we continue on. All right, so just position your needle so it's coming out of one of the outer holes of the MiniDuo, and then sew back through the same MiniDuo going through the inner hole. So this time you're going in the opposite direction, and sew through the next 4 seed beads in that group of 6. Pick up 1 15-0 and 2 11-0s, followed by one more 15-0, and then sew through the central 2 seed beads in that next group of 6. Pull that tight and repeat this 3 more times. So again, 1 15-0, 2 11-0s, and 1 15-0. And then sew through the 2 seed beads in the center of the next group of 6 and pull tight. So you're just adding in these additional seed beads to surround that crystal and further tighten up the piece. So now just continue sewing through all of those seed beads in that central ring, bringing those even closer together to form their own loop. And do that while you're holding that crystal in place with your thumb and your forefinger to just keep everything centered and those seed beads positioned evenly around the crystal. And once again, you can just use your fingers to start to center everything. Keep in mind those pinch beads can be worked into place a little bit more depending on how they're turned. And you just want to sew through a little bit more, come out of the next mini duo in that inner hole, and step up through the outer hole of that same mini duo. Then continue on through the next pinch bead, 2 millimeter pinch bead, and seed beads, and just continue sewing around that outer section a little bit more, at which point you can start to make a couple of half hitch knots, making a loop by sewing under the thread bridge and then sewing through the loop, and then continuing on through a few more beads to hide that knot in place. Just continue on through some more, and then make another half hitch knot just like you did. Once again, sew through a few more beads. And your first component is complete. You can trim off that excess working thread and then repeat those steps to make yourself another 4 components if you're going to be making a bracelet that is the same length as the example piece. And then we'll meet back and I'll show you how to put all these pieces together and complete the bracelet.